GosWatch.
Facts. So actually, hold on one sec. So I took my chain off. We were just we were just about to be done recording, and then this one says, "Oh, I forgot."
But you gotta put this at the beginning of the episode. You gotta Tarantino it.
All right, hold up.
I almost wanted to do we should have changed outfits real quick and cut it in the beginning, and then the intro plays, and then it's you and I talking about Finn Bálor.
No, this will be the cold open.
That's what I'm saying. This is this is.
So I'm gonna say action or whatever. We'll do something, and then we'll do the white noise, and then it'll go into the beginning of the episode. But this Gosling update.
So I know legit because it's a thing. It's our running theme now, in a way. Because since my comeback after a mental health exile.
All right.
We watch. I forced you to watch The Gray Man.
No. All right. Let's go.
And you were like, I gotta watch this strip. I'm like, yes, Cal, you gotta watch The Gray Man. I'm not recording with Banks right now. We got to talk about The Gray Man.
Well,
fine, I'll watch The Gray Man. And then you're like, The Gray Man sucks strip. I'm like, yeah, Cal, it wasn't that good. But you know what? I actually kind of like it after seeing it for a third time.
So, all right. So action. So the other day on Twitter. I forget, was it Donnie? Somebody asked you.
I had posted my bit on Twitter. You know how people have bits.
He's got a bit already.
Every Thursday, I try to post the Just Another Thursday.
Yeah.
From The Gray Man, which is what.
That's his bit.
What's what? Oh God, what's your name? Damn it. Julia Butters tells Ryan Gosling after she gets brought back home from her pacemaker not being working properly. She's like, just another Thursday.
Right.
When he beats up the burglar that's trying to kill her. He says everything's fine. It's just another Thursday. Then at the end, he reassures her, when she's like, "Don't fight Chris Evans. He's crazy." He's like, "Hey, this is just another Thursday," and that reassures her that 6 is gonna do what 6 does, and that's beat someone's ass. So that's my reoccurring bit.
So there was a tweet that asked what your favorite movie of the year was. So I'm like, it was the one where Ryan Gosling looks like a whole S.H.I.E.L.D. member.
Or The Weeknd, or Drake, or Vince Staples, any rap pop star that performs on tour these days. Then after The Gray Man, we talked about Bullet Train, which was directed by David Leitch, and that movie. Once that movie came out, it was announced that David Leitch was working on a movie version of The Fall Guy, which is going to star the Goss Man himself, Ryan Gosling.
The Goss Man? I can't call him that.
But then we had, I think, maybe one other bit about Gosling in between. Yeah. Then we did movies, films, cinema. I'm pissed. There was an image I forgot to post, but I can still do it now that they're all available on YouTube. But it would have pissed you off. I'll be posting it now, so you'll be seeing it. It's of Christopher Moltisanti being like, "I love movies." I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna link all the episodes to movies, film, cinema with that image because we're and we talked about Blade Runner 2049 and La La Land in part 2 because that was 2016, 2017 in a way. That was getting another Gosling update, and that's when you would put this banner right here. And then we talked about Orange Cassidy last week. I said, his character was I misspoke. I think I might have called him Red Ant when he was Fire Ant, or I might have been correct. Either way, red, fire, you always associate the two because a lot of times in cartoons or Power Rangers, the red one has the fire power. So I think that was my stat correction. Was I might have said Red Ant, or I might have said Fire Ant too, but I'm not sure.
I'd have to go back. Anyway.
He was inspired by Ryan Gosling's character in Drive, aka the driver. That was our update last week, and this week I'm at work, and then I'm like, come on, there's still a half hour to go. And I'm on Twitter, and I see that Ryan Gosling is now a Gucci brand ambassador. And instantly I get a dad joke of I told you off air, is that the Gray Man's now the Gucci Man. And it's like, and he had this great ad like him throwing a bunch of Gucci luggage into like a pickup truck and him driving, and again his hair's kind of still got the blondish look from. I'll send it to you. It's a pretty good ad.
I just saw an image. Was it GQ posted it? And he's sitting there like,
that's the image I saw. I'm like,
I saw you liked it.
Yeah. That's when you, and I was like, Cal's gonna see this image and be like, please don't shoehorn this. And we actually had to create a whole stream right now to shoehorn this into an episode because of this reoccurring bit I have of
Gosling update. I get
the only way this could pay off, and I don't know how it could happen, is if Ryan Gosling comes on the show, which I don't know why he would.
Is he even like
or at some point you talk to Ryan Gosling at your profession and you have to be like, hey, there's a good friend of mine.
The Gray Man 2 comes out, I get to go visit the set.
That's what I'm saying. I think at some point the Gray Man 2 is gonna be like, I'm shocked, to be honest. They should be sending shit to me for all the street team work I did for that movie with videos. Again, 2 pods because I podded with you about it. Then Banksland, the Patreon, did the commentary track too. Like I'm the man. Again, I'm like I said it a few weeks ago. Like I'm the only man flying the flag for the Gray Man. Like
Drip. The only way they
at least send me like their tracksuit or like something like
a set visit. They reward stands by giving you more shit to stand about. Your reward's going to be the Gray Man 2. You ain't getting no tracksuit. You ain't getting no tactical gear. You ain't getting rocket launch. You ain't getting none of that shit. You getting another movie to watch on Netflix.
Wait until I show up for our Halloween episode with the tactical deep gear. People are gonna be like, "What? Seth Rollins? Is he Seth Rollins?" I'm like, "No, I'm the Gray Man." Like,
all right, let's get to this damn show.
Yeah, do you own any Gucci?
I don't own any Gucci, and I'm not buying any Gucci because Ryan Gosling is the Gucci man. All right,
you got some Coach stuff because you talked to Michael B. Jordan. I know that.
Hey, we'll talk.
I got a Coach wallet because
let's start the damn show.
Listening to White Noise with your host, Drip.
Tricky thing, the English language.
Anyway, Davis.
You should be Cal of the Call.
Let me change my name for this episode. This the latest episode of what's this show called, Drip?
This episode?
What's the show called?
The show is White Noise, of course.
White Noise. Look at that.
Which unfortunately is not the White Noise Sean Fennessy was talking about yesterday.
Wait, that talk is crazy though. They're already calling that Oscar. It's
that was looking because I listened to the Big Picture. They've been talking about that movie for almost 2 years. Basically, when it was announced, they were talking about because it's based off this like huge book, like this, like a really well-known book, and it being adapted into a movie.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's Noah Baumbach. He got a lot of Oscar praise from
Noah Baumbach. Yeah,
even though I don't really fuck with Noah Baumbach. I
didn't really fuck with that movie, honestly. That one scene is cool.
I didn't even see the scene. I just saw the memes, and I'm like, yep.
You should see. Like, I don't like. It's not. I do not like that film, but and for people that don't know, when I was editor of the pop culture channel at Complex, I had control of the Apple TV remote, and I would put movies on. We wouldn't really put like audio on because people are talking or whatever, but and working and all types of shit's going on. But there's a couple of moments that I remember that they were like, yeah, can we hear what's going on? One is you've seen Breaking Bad, right, Trip?
No.
Damn. All right. So there's a scene.
Not past season 3.
That's right. Yeah. My son's finished that and you ain't finished. There's a scene in Breaking Bad.
You know why your son doesn't get fed up like I do? Like, you know what?
That's true.
I get like him, like, man, fuck this. Like, that's me in TV shows, man.
I can't do that.
These TV shows, like
there's one very important, very memorable scene towards the end of the show that goes on for maybe like 15 minutes, and the whole office was standing like, oh shit. And another one
is not when the twins try to kill Hank.
Nah, it was later, way later than that. The other scene was this scene in Marriage Story. I mean, because it goes on for like 5 minutes, 7 minutes. He's punching walls and shit. But it's one of those things where it's a very good scene, but it's not worth sitting through the hour and 40 minutes or whatever before it and the 20 minutes. I don't know. It's definitely a marriage. Alan Alda is the best part of that film, but we're not
Alan Alda is great.
Yeah.
I mean, what's better is Bill Hader's Alan Alda impression on SNL. You guys are just doing a fantastic job. Really great styling.
Amazing. Amazing.
No, but I mean, yeah, this is White Noise, of course. I mean, the last episode we did was about Orange Cassidy.
Yeah.
Prior to that, we did Carmelo Hayes. Again, we're kind of back on the wrestling episodes, which was kind of the initial idea for the show.
Yeah.
Because it came off the segment again where I would talk about someone like a Finn Bálor or a Jay White when I was just starting out with y'all.
And
kind of be
what would happen is we had the White Noise segment on the pod, and a lot of the time I was like, Drip, I don't know what the hell this pro wrestling is, so can you for 20 minutes or whatever just explain it on the show? And because like we explained a while ago, because Math Damon on your social media choice, he said White Noise's show could be more than just wrestling. We've proven that for over the last 14 episodes. It's been a wide variety of things, but I think us going back to wrestling, what does that mean? Does that mean you're actually watching more wrestling now, Drip?
No, I mean, like, the basis of this episode in particular is like, this goes back to, again, as White Noise wasn't as taken as much because I was being on the show more full time in a more prominent role and being part of these discussions. White Noise was kind of the thing where, like, was there anything we skipped that you really wanted to talk about?
Right.
And that was the thing. Like, the first thing was like, none of y'all watched Wrestle Kingdom, or maybe just Math did.
Right.
And I'm like, Jay White had this 56-minute match at Wrestle Kingdom in which he went on stage and broke down.
And I didn't know anything about this stuff, but
and that was at the time the rumor of him potentially jumping ship from New Japan to NXT. That was a very prominent rumor at that time.
Him and NXT would have been interesting,
especially in this era when we're kind of talking about it. But like, so when I wasn't doing the White Noise as much because I was just part of the overall discussion of the show, but stuff that had happened previously, stuff like Finn Bálor coming back to NXT, the Undisputed Era reigning in NXT. So there's a lot. Again, everyone kind of knew I was a big NXT person. That's why when 2.0 happened, I had the reaction I did, which is what we talked about with Carmelo Hayes, about Carmelo Hayes being the star of that show, and why
he threw the damn TV out the window one day.
I punched the wall like Adam Driver, like, no.
That's actually funny.
But no, there was one time in the summer where I wrote this article about Finn Bálor, and I was going to send it to you to put on the site, but like I spent too much time rewriting it in a way, because that's why I couldn't make it as a writer, even though I tried a few times. It's just I would overthink the article as I was writing it. So like to me it couldn't be finished. It's that very like Dr. Dre, Kanye West thing where like I'm still working on it. That's why I can't put it out yet.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things though, Drip, where like you probably just need to write a book or something.
Well, I need to do something like this where I can say, so I can keep going on and on and on is the thing.
Start a podcast works as well.
Because it's a lot easier to say words than to write them down.
This is true. This is 100% correct. When they started putting me on podcasts, let me do this all the time.
Yeah, but like I said, in the summer of last year, I wrote this Finn Bálor article in a way. And it was basically just detailing, because it was, that's my laundry machine.
It's lit.
I knew he was about to get called up to the main roster for the second time, based on how he lost to Karrion Kross and how they were hyping up the second match of Kross for the rematch. They had Paul Heyman be part of the hype package. It's like, at that time, Roman Reigns and another opponent, and who better than Finn Bálor? So it made total sense. Obviously, he was going to lose the rematch and get called up, but in a way, like, his time had come for that. He did what he needed to do. Yeah, he carried NXT during the pandemic, and when he came back in 2019, as was designed, it gave him a restart that he needed after Vince McMahon constantly was like setting him up to fail and time again with, not seeing the appeal besides, yeah, he's a good looking guy. That's it.
I feel you.
But again, he came back on the first Wednesday Night War episode against Dynamite. Like the opening match was Adam Cole, Matt Riddle, and Adam Cole beats Matt Riddle, and Finn Bálor comes out and says he's in NXT, and I was like, oh shit. And kind of the whole point of that Wednesday Night War is, again, as much as I liked AEW, I was pro NXT more than AEW, and I still thought they had the better show a lot of the Wednesdays that they did, even though the ratings would say otherwise. What about you, as someone who never really tuned in to NXT, but when you would catch it, did you enjoy it more than what you're seeing on AEW, even though you weren't really watching that as much, or like with that vested interest?
At that time, when the Wednesday Night Wars first started, I was probably watching more AEW, but it was because AEW was new. We were pod in, and we'd been. I mean, I've said this countless times, but AEW is probably one of the first pro, aside from ECW, AEW, and even then, I don't think I saw it at the very, very beginning. But like, I've seen the very infancy of AEW at All In and the story. So like being able to see it, I was very invested in the beginning of that show. I would watch NXT here and there. Usually when I would go to watch, it would be because it was about to be a banger. Like I remember being tuned in. I mean, obviously for like Keith Lee and Adam Cole, but like even like that Sasha Banks match. Was that Sasha Banks at EO?
Yeah, the Great American Bash. Yeah,
that stuff like that always got like a lot. I got into a lot of the gimmick shows just because like, oh hey, y'all doing the Bash, Great American Bash for, but I would stay for the matches, and the matches are always dope. I never got as invested in NXT as a weekly show, storyline wise, just for whatever reason. I picked the one show, and I didn't have time to go back and watch the other one for a bit.
But that's the thing, yeah, is that all the interest was in AEW because it's what's it going to be like this week and what's it going to be like next week, and they had all the promise because, like you said, they are new. Whereas NXT, you knew what you were getting, especially with them as a TV show at that time. It was
right.
A few squash matches, 2 big time matches, some good vignettes, and then we get a takeover in 2 to 3 months.
It was a very, very and the takeovers. We would always, when we were doing the podcast, we would always preview the takeovers at that time because there was always going to be at least like one certified banger. Those shows would have 4 matches, and you would usually get
5 matches, 4 to 5, and more often not, they all hit was the thing.
Exactly. There were always good pro wrestling shows, but I was never invested outside of like, oh well, here's the next piece of the Ciampa Gargano saga. Like I knew what was going on, but I was never that invested.
And that was the thing I think that killed NXT in the ratings, is that NXT had to care about competing with Dynamite.
Yeah.
Because the simplicity of their show, again, of like, you could have a great opening match and a great closing match and a bunch of filler in between of people being introduced, or a person who's not going to wrestle this week but will wrestle 2 weeks from now. Again, very Crockett style wrestling. Like,
right.
Flair didn't wrestle every week. He cut promos a lot of the time. They'd have a tag match, and again, the tag champs didn't wrestle every week. But then someone like Johnny Gargano, who, if you would look at his schedule, like 2016 to 2019, didn't wrestle probably more than like 10 to 15 NXT shows, not counting takeovers, like regular NXT shows, because he preserved it for the big time show, like that old school mindset. Like, with someone like him, you go all out on the big show. So when Finn Bálor comes back, that's an extra boost of like, again, Adam Cole, all the Undisputed Era, Johnny Gargano, Ciampa, Keith Lee, Dexter Lumis, all the people that have in a way come back or now elsewhere. Mr. 52 was kind of rising and falling. Leo Rush had just come back at the start of the Wednesday Night War 2 is the thing.
True.
So the roster is stacked in this way, but Finn Bálor to come back, it was, I'm like, wow. And again, sets up him and Adam Cole. I'm like, this, like, again, are you reading my mind? Or are you giving me what I want?
Well, I think the thing is, and because I remember when it happened. I remember when they announced that Finn was coming back. It was right before that Wednesday Night War, but it was also kind of like, they have a lot of really good. Their roster is really strong, like you said, but it didn't feel like there was an OG, or at least
Mhm.
somebody who had been there, gone through the system, tested the waters, and now is like the seasoned vet. You need someone like that when before Extreme Championship Wrestling, back when it was Eastern Championship Wrestling, one of the first feuds was Eddie Gilbert and Terry Funk. And it's like, damn, Terry Funk older from Texas, but he was like the
Well, I think too
perfect.
is like when Shane Douglas dropped the title and then he pronounced himself the Extreme
You need
Champion.
you need those
His feud
people
was with
there.
Terry Funk, and he said, "Listen here, you old fuck." Like when they had that shoving match backstage, like, listen, I respect you, you old man,
That shit was
but you're not gonna get your
classic.
fucking hand out of my face. Like,
When I tell that talk, see people talk. That's how I knew that I was really built for this shit. I mean, I don't want to go off on a tangent,
yeah,
but
no, because it's not like, beat
I
his ass. Like, come on,
I,
Terry. Like,
I remember, like I was around I was watching TV when the Montreal screw job happened, but I didn't know that Shane Douglas throwing the belt, all that stuff going on backstage, because there was a throwing the belt, and then there's that other clip of them like in some little backstage
yeah,
meeting area where they're all like that. I didn't know what was real. Everything felt real. I learned later that parts of it were kind of real, but not the parts that we were expecting. But it's it's stuff like that really sparked the wait, where's the show stop and the realness start, for me. But either way, I brought that up, just I brought Terry Funk up to say I figured that they wanted Finn down there to have
for that role.
someone who's been on the main roster, has had success on the main roster, however big or small you want to equate it to, but could also bang with them and kind of teach them the way. It felt like I always applaud stuff like that. I loved when Dolph came down in a 2.0, like that type of stuff where you have those
Well,
people that
2.0 needed that the whole time because it was a lot of like people who definitely aren't ready for TV yet, so they
you
need to be
need
carried in
people who can
these
go.
matches.
Yeah.
The thing about Finn coming back too is that he came back as the bad guy this time in his first run in NXT. We're basically talking about, to preface this, because I also have a second, like a part 2 to this later on, where I want to invite some guests to have like a round table discussion.
Oh wow.
Hopefully these people's dates can all work out. We can talk about Finn Balor kind of overall, again, about like why is everyone call him Pin Balor, and this man constantly loses. I mean, is this y'all king again? This man who gets jobbed out, and
I think I know who you inviting to the show, but we'll see.
is that what you're saying? He's one of, there was another person who's pro Finn Balor that would be on my side, and maybe one other person I'll see again. I want to try to get a round table.
Okay, we figure it out.
Because there's a lot to discuss his whole career since and it's again mainly main roster. Finn Balor is what that conversation would be. This is about that again, going back to NXT in 2019, that real like comes back with a hand tattoo again, like on a different fucking vibe. Like this again, he's not the good guy anymore. He aligns himself with Ciampa and Gargano, but then Pele kicks Gargano, and it's like, what the fuck? And then he DDTs him on the ramp, and then just fucking, like do like he's fucking Griselda, like.
Well, that's his. I mean, you have this photo. That's his man's. Like, this photo is here, but there's like at least 3 or 4 you could find on Google.
Yeah.
Like, they're homies for real.
Let me look it up real quick. When he went to NXT UK, in that episode like it aired, he had made a post where it was like West Side Gun X Benny the Butcher X Conway the Machine X Griselda Records, and it was like him in the NXT UK ring.
Oh, word.
Yeah,
it's hard.
So again, and I like call the episode the way it is because there's that song, by West Side Gun with the children, like, it's like.
But it's almost like it all makes sense. It all makes sense.
But yeah, he came back on like this different energy of like in his promos, kind of like in that Shane Douglas way, kind of got a little bit more real, where he's like, the first time he actually spoke on NXT was when he's like, he says like 2 months ago I was laying down in the ring for what they say was the hottest thing in the business, and that was the Fiend. Because remember, the Fiend sent Finn Balor to NXT. That was his last main roster feud.
Oh,
and then Finn Bálor says like, but now since I'm here, everyone's talking about how I'm the hottest thing in the business because like he's revived, like he came back to NXT like to be the big superstar to rival a Chris Jericho in the way of like how Jericho was on Dynamite. Like this is the guy who's going to carry, or Moxley, the guy who's going to carry the show. Because we all have seen this guy for years now, and he already had the appeal of being in NXT prior with the whole Balor Club, and the longest reigning NXT champion is feuds with Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe and all that, but the history there. And he gets into it right away, like these great promos, or like he's in the dark room, sitting like this, being like, Matt Riddle, yeah, you're good, but I'm better. Like, and it'd be stuff like that week after week, where he'd praise these people, but also be like, you're not on my level. It's that type of like, that's how you put someone over, but establish yourself as a heel. Is like,
does that mean?
And it'd be, yeah, and it's all of us. Yeah, I mean,
is that what we're doing at BRP?
Basically, and why does Matt say it's not about the title? It's about who you body to get it, and no one's bodied us yet, as far as I can tell. I mean, who else had?
I don't know. This is old. This is not new. This is an old hoodie.
I don't even have that yet, but hopefully I will soon.
Hopefully you better talk to the man.
Yeah, he would sit in these dark rooms. Again, he's the Prince now, but the Prince with the red X, which I think is what pissed Math off. Like, speaking of the merch man, when he came back on that energy, being like,
that shit
do you see this shit? Like,
he was not happy with that. He was.
I think that's why he doesn't really rock with Finn Bálor now, because like he stole my whole fucking flow. Like,
he really did, though. He really did. It's funny though. But there's so much that we do that when you see, like, and we live it, you know what I mean? So when you see something that you've done pop up on somebody's shirt, like, people knew about the red X because of us.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where your man saw the red. You think he saw you? Do you think Finn Bálor saw?
He probably like West Side Gun and then found a wrestling page like
it was like, Finn,
a red X, huh?
Hey yo, Finn, check this out.
And now he has the purple X, so that's
they put the red X on Roddy Piper. It's crazy. Do. Oh yeah, the red X, yeah, and then he had the fucking shirt. I mean,
I like that color. I like that look.
Hey, yo, Finn, just take the red X. It's crazy. Sorry, that's not. I don't know if that's a good West Side Gun impression at all. Anyway.
That's as you mean him on air, because when he was backstage on that promo, he's like, "Yeah, I'm having a very great time here tonight on NXT."
Like, what's up? My name is West Side Gun. This is a lot of fun.
My Aunt Jenny was the one who introduced me to wrestling, and I was like,
"Oh!" But that's the thing. They're like, I mean, West Side's rap persona when he's
well, it's everyone though. I mean,
that's the demon.
I mean, we're not gonna. He wasn't. That's the thing. He came back to NXT not as.
He hasn't been the demon.
The demon the entire time. He was the demon versus Roman Reigns, but this run as the Prince, it was all about him being. He harkened back to that real rock and roller that he was in the Bullet Club, like the guy with the leather jacket who's gonna, step up. I'll put you down. Like,
damn, can't do that.
That second.
I'm sorry.
Why is that?
Well, it's a couple things. I mean, first off, it's guns, so you can't use guns.
That's why he was kind of doing it to the side, like he was kind of trying to get like very like you couldn't just do bang like.
I mean, at a certain point though, like you saying it, but you're not doing it. But that's
in reality. Come on, you think?
Yeah.
You think he's gonna go like? Well, I mean, the IRA was about bombs, so you think he's gonna?
No, he can't. Yeah, no, not at all. This run really made me think that he was about to be the man on the main roster.
See, that's kind of why I got so like hyped with him. In my eyes, he was the wrestler of 2020 based on how the year started and how the year ended, and not to just disperse what Roman Reigns did, but he missed a good half of the year, or like the first half of the year was kind of the tribal chief is the second half of his 2020.
Yeah,
and then he dominated all of 2021. And someone else who was wrestler of the year that year was Io Shirai. She was kind of doing the same thing as Finn Bálor, but in the women's division, because she kind of came back in 2019 with this heel turn.
Yeah.
And the dope entrance and the doom, and again that kind of like vibe of like sinister, but like I'm again the best wrestler here. Like stepped up or get stepped on.
Facts.
And those two kind of mirrored each other once they had won the titles.
She was that heel version of him.
Basically, and then they kind of turned face halfway through just because they're so easy to root for, like you had to.
Yeah.
But 2020, I mean, he ends 2019. Again, he faces Matt Riddle, who gets pulled out of the War Games, and he beats him because he takes out Johnny Gargano. So that feud's put on the back burner. Then him and Gargano, again, Mr. Takeover versus the original Mr. Takeover and Finn Bálor. Mm-hmm. They have that match at Portland where, again, they pull out all the stops. COVID gets in the way of what's potentially a feud I still hope to see, which was him and, at the time, Walter. But now Gunther, like, that was kind of set up for TakeOver Tampa.
Gunther was going to fuck that man up.
It was going to be Finn Bálor and Walter for the UK title, and I think Finn Bálor probably would have beaten Walter for the title.
This is where he needed to be.
This
is where he needed.
This is probably going to be the cover. That's why I put that in it, because that's that come back doing.
That's where that's exactly where he needed to be. Well, because you figure, I mean, and I'm not saying Johnny Gargano doesn't have the stuff, but clearly he's in NXT. He's on the main roster now, but like he was in NXT for a while. He was at Johnny Wrestling was down there for a while. I think he needs a good feud with a Finn to get that elevation. At this time,
their feud was and when they have that great kind of face-to-face conversation with this, like how Matt Riddle and Seth Rollins did a few weeks ago, where they're separate rooms, like based on how you and I are probably in right now. Johnny Gargano said, like, Finn Bálor, when you left in 2016, I was the guy that picked up that flag and carried NXT forward again as Mr. Takeover. And again, in the way he was the ultimate babyface who was going to overcome the odds and win or lose. That's Johnny Gargano became what Finn Bálor was, and their feud was the two faces finally colliding. And this time, again, one dude fucking DDT'd another guy onto the ramp and just be like, "Look at your mans! Look at your like."
That makes sense.
But yeah, I mean, Walter and Finn Bálor. I mean, just imagine.
His chest would have been on fire.
Yeah,
he would.
Keep him coming. Like,
put the red X on his body for real. He light motherfuckers up. Yeah. He probably could give him two good chops with each hand. Yeah,
they kind of set it up prior in between Matt Riddle and Johnny Gargano. He had this brief feud with Ilya Dragunov. That was at Worlds Colliding, and that was kind of setting up him stepping in the NXT UK. Not that he had established himself in NXT, so he was facing the young rising star NXT UK. And then there was also another feud potentially set up there that was going to be, which is I was hyped for, was Tyler Bate and Finn Bálor. And COVID kind of got in the way of that as well because overseas travel was stopped. Like you couldn't go anywhere.
Tyler Bate.
And they never picked those feuds up once, because by the time restrictions and travel were lifted, Finn Bálor's already about to be called up. And,
right.
And no one was really leaving NXT UK to come over to NXT until 2.0 started, really.
The world wasn't set up for those types of moves either.
But we got rid of these two great feuds of Tyler Bate, who was the first NXT UK champ, and Finn Bálor was there when he was crowned. So in a way, it can harken back to, I saw the potential of you early on, and now I see where you're at now. And, it's kind of not like a mentor. It's not like Obi-Wan Anakin. It's that energy of like, I've seen you throughout the entire career. It's like the champ seeing the young up-and-comer.
Right.
And like being wary of like, when you come at me, like, I'm going to be ready for this one. Like,
right. No, 100%.
But again, Gunther and Finn, again, that match that would have been the banger of that weekend, and that takeover set up with Gargano and Ciampa, the last match. It was supposed to be the Redacted Dream versus Adam Cole because their feud was kind of taking off. Keith Lee, they put the match on TV, but it was Keith Lee versus Dijakovic versus Damian Priest, and that match was pretty good. But like that takeover was shaping up to have a stat card, and that was like a women's ladder match, I believe, in which I think Io Shirai might have retained, or did she want to get the number one contendership? Oh no, the NXT title was Charlotte. That's what it was. Yeah, they had that match at Mania. It was Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte. Yeah, so I was right. Io Shirai won the number one contender to then face. She beat Charlotte and Rhea Ripley at the triple threat match in your house.
Damn. What a good time for NXT, honestly.
That's what I mean. The whole time I'm like, I like what I'm seeing on Dynamite, but this show is clearly better. Like, To me, it was better the whole time, and not just like they have. I like the guys more in NXT UK. I mean NXT in terms of like the Undisputed Era, Finn Bálor, Keith Lee, Kushida. At the time, the Dream was still the darkness hadn't overcome.
Yeah, right.
I mean, hadn't overtaken everything yet.
Right.
Versus the uncertainty of guys like again, which is what we still see like Jungle Boy. Are we sure this is it? I mean, the Lucha Bros are dope. Like, yeah, but like this Jungle Boy, like, that still kind of harkens to today with AEW and their roster and the Ultimate Highs and the.
It's all the same stuff. It's all the same stuff. They haven't changed at all, to be honest with you.
But I still think even though they're on different rosters right now, I mean, they are leading different factions. I don't think they all set up for War Games with Judgment Day versus Imperium, because Imperium is a member short anyway. But in terms of like if they allowed Rhea Ripley to compete with the men in the War Games, how awesome would that be? Like,
but you think it's gonna be Imperium though?
No, it's definitely gonna be Bloodline versus like a Sting's squadron of like Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens, and probably like
Sami Zayn.
If they betray Sami Zayn, yeah, then whatever tag team they.
Oh wait,
maybe Gargano, like
you don't think?
I still think they're gonna buy. I think they like what they're seeing, so I don't. I think they're also kind of like doing like let's not hit it just yet.
Well, no, I don't. Well, the thing is you. I've not watched.
Are you saying? Do you think I think it'll be 5-on-5 War Games or 4-on-4 War Games? Because 4-on-4 would be Usos, Solo, and Roman versus.
Well, what's the five in the Bloodline is with
those four and Sami Zayn and the honorary Us, yeah.
Because I've at the time of this recording, I've not watched SmackDown yet, but I saw a clip where is Jay's the one that doesn't like Sami. Jay was
the one who said, "Take off that shirt."
Yeah, he would
take off that shirt. Like the venom in which another man tells you to take off your shirt.
Right. There's a backstage segment where he's like, "You might have my whole family." He said, "You got everybody and they mama fool about what you're doing, but I could see it." He said, "If you betray the family, Oos," and the way Kevin Owens is cooking right now, the easiest thing you could do is do a 5-on-5 where Kevin Owens is on the opposite side of the Bloodline and Sami Zayn either fucks up accidentally or fucks up on purpose and sets up a situation where Bloodline loses and then it becomes Kevin Owens, Roman Reigns.
If Sami Zayn becomes like, if he does this Sabisco where like he cost him the War Games match, and then like
that's going to be October. I mean that's November. That's November. You can cook that at least until day one.
Yeah,
easily. That week to week, you can easily cook that until day. Kevin Owens may not win the title. It'll be a good. They could harken back to that was 2020 when Roman and Kevin was beating each other up during the
end of 2020, start of 2021. Yeah,
that was a good feud. Throw Sammy in there. They ain't gonna win. Kevin Owens could win. I could see Kevin Owens being the champ. Anyway,
I don't think with the person to throw in Roman Reigns, it's still like up in the air because now that Triple H is in charge, is it going to be the Johnny Gargano? Is it going to be Seth Rollins after the year of buildup with the Rumble coming up? Is it going to be fucking Cody Rhodes of all people when he's cleared? Is it going to be maybe a fully formed Finn Bálor? The Judgment Day is taken seriously. Who knows who could be?
I don't think it's going to be Finn.
No,
I don't think it's going to be Kevin. I don't think it's going to be. I don't know. I have to look at who the best babyface prospects are out there. It could be a Braun Breaker. I don't know how. I don't know. Like it because if you do a Braun Breaker, it has to be one of two things. Either it's someone in the bloodline.
Him and Rick Steiner and Scott Steiner versus Roman and
I'm saying
Usos.
the Steiner brothers better be out there at some point. No, but what I'm saying is, I think either
someone Goldberg to match Solo. That's War Games.
Well, not, but you could. But think about it. There's a lot.
Me and my dad and my uncle Scott.
I wish Finn was on the right side of the babyface heel thing because he could like him in the Judgment Day would be perfect.
Well, the real ultimate team, like if you, Mimi's probably hearing this, being like, are they fantasy booking? If you were, the ultimate team again would be like face Kevin Owens, face AJ Styles, face Finn Bálor,
right?
Drew McIntyre, and if they did Sami Zayn still in the Bloodline, Johnny Gargano, like those 5 against the Bloodline 5.
Who's the Sting in that situation? Is it Kevin Owens? Or is it Finn?
Yeah, because it's probably Kevin Owens again, because he wants to be the one like to free Sammy. Like again, like I've known you for 20 years, and this, yeah.
You're booking,
because that's what he said a couple weeks ago. Remember when he's like, Sammy, like I've known you for how long? Like this is the lowest I've ever seen you.
Freeing, that sounds like a concerned grandmother. It's like, oh, I don't want those kids around my daughter. She's on the drugs. And like, so she goes to the cops to try and like knock on the door. She's like, that's Kevin Owens going in there to try and get his homeboy. Mm-hmm. His whole squad's got to be white though.
That's what all those guys are white. Drew McIntyre,
WWE.
Bálor, I don't Styles and Johnny Gargano. Like you can't get any whiter than that.
I don't think you either take that team or I don't think you can book black people with Kevin Owens against the Bloodline.
Even though like a Kevin Owens, the Street Profits,
Kevin Owens, the New Day, and the Street Profits versus the Bloodline. The only white people in that match are Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. That's crazy.
It's like the opposite of losing Isaiah. It's freeing Sammy, right?
Freeing Sammy is funny. No, that's actually funny.
No, but again, back to the Finn Bálor thing. But
back to why we're here.
Again, it could, fucked up a lot of things in life, but these potential matches with Tyler Bate and Walter would just add to the resume of like Finn Bálor as the Prince was already building with, again, Matt Riddle, Gargano, Dragunov.
I'm gonna say
him and Damian Priest have a good match at TakeOver in your house.
What Finn was able to do,
and then Timothy Thatcher had a great match at a really good match at NXT 30, TakeOver 30.
But these ain't no bullshit.
But then the real banger, it was my run-up to match of the year, was him and Kyle O'Reilly at TakeOver 31, which two dudes are just beating the shit out of each other. Again, Finn Bálor broke his jaw.
Yeah, look at that.
Kyle O'Reilly got broken ribs again. So like that
unsafe worker.
Chris Jericho said they were unsafe, but then Chris Jericho fucking let Nick Gage cut his head open with a pizza cutter. So like the shit.
That's some hepatitis type.
So that's again Chris Jericho be like,
not saying anybody's got hepatitis, but you don't want to play around with knives and blood. And
no, exactly. We're not here to hurt guys. This is supposed to be safe. But again, Chris Jericho is also the guy who, like, after he had the match of Naito at Wrestle Kingdom, he's like, they say wrestling's fake, and he posts like all his battle scars.
Oh yeah, but god damn.
Again, what does Eve say? Is it Uchiwali? Is it one mic? Like,
yeah, right?
Chris Jericho, walking hypocrite. That's all, as we all know. Like.
Damn, I hope somebody's watching. I know people do watch this for people that don't know, hold up. Let me get some brand music on. For people that don't know, shows like White Noise normally show up first on the patreon.com/Black Wrestling, usually a week. Yeah. We'll record this on a Saturday. If it's not up that Saturday, it's up that Sunday. It just is what it is. Y'all get that on the YouTube the following Saturday or Sunday. I know people watch because I see that people watch, but I kind of wish. I wonder if people don't know, or they don't want to. I don't know. Patreon.com/Black Wrestling. If you like this conversation, you can watch it over there before everybody else sees it a week later. I'm sorry. Anyway.
Well, you want people to watch, but you want them to listen is the ultimate thing. Is people can watch, but it's the same thing too. Like, I hear you, but I don't hear you. Or like I can hear you, but not listen. That's the case of math. Like, I hear math, but I don't listen. Like,
you're admitting that? You're saying that's what he says about you?
No, I'm admitting that. Yeah, because there have been times where like, yep, I no, because I can like hearing it back. I'm like, yep, I should have listened. Like,
that's funny.
Like once
Good.
it's happened, I'm like, see, I hear it, but like, this was not a time when yeah.
It happens. No, it happens. It takes a big man to admit those types of situations. Anyway.
Oh yeah, no, that's again with me being honest. I think to a fault, unfortunately, both positive and negative. But yeah, this was again. It's that match at Takeover 31 was just again two dudes, elbow strikes, knee strikes, kicks, submissions. Like, a match. I mean, a match that I think Matt said that he enjoyed because it was again that gritty, like hard hitting style. It was what they always say New Japan is supposed to be. Again, with like not they didn't really dump each other in their heads as much, but it was just again like boom, like and Kyle O'Reilly finally got like this singles run in NXT after years of being in the tag team with Bobby Fish and then moving on to tagging with Roddy Strong and then moving back to tag with Bobby Fish. Like COVID forced our hands in a way to like, let's give this guy again, who was a world champion ROH for I think he had the shortest reign of all time, who was a world champ in PWG for a little bit. Again, his reign wasn't as long there, but still like he's always had single star potential because he's kind of getting that William Regal, Daniel Bryan hybrid of like he's gonna have again him and Darby Allin have that great match at Double or Nothing, which is the sleeper match of the show. And I knew that going like these two are going to deliver because Darby Allin can actually wrestle, but he just gets recognized for the stunt show that he is a lot of the time.
True.
But Kyle O'Reilly was finally getting this, and they were setting up too with the whole like, oh, if Kyle O'Reilly wins, like is Adam Cole going to be upset that he's not the champ in Undisputed Era anymore?
Right.
And they went back and forth for a little bit because Finn Bálor actually had a missed time with the broken jaw, like he couldn't wrestle and all that. So that's why they did Undisputed Era versus Pat McAfee and Pete Dunne and Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan. But at New Year's Eve, they had the rematch again. The whole point of that match is like Finn Bálor. It's weird to say working another man's jaw, but that's the whole point. It was an eye for an eye for an eye. It's a jaw for a jaw. Like he spent the whole match just like trying to like break Kyle O'Reilly's jaw. Like then he did the Rings of Saturn, like the crossface script to like again break a man's jaw, like
to work another man's jaw is crazy.
But that's what that match was like. Yeah. Again, and then he moved on to Vengeance Day when he faced Pete Dunne, and that was again like two British trained wrestlers going at it. And again, the whole time Pete Dunne was breaking those fingers, and at the end of the match, like Finn Bálor won, but his hand, he couldn't do the fingers, so he was just like, yeah, like
his fucking hands were all fucked up. He was just holding like the Joker and shit,
basically. Yeah. And then the final, match of like his takeover journey was him and Karrion Kross, and I had said it a few weeks ago when he came back. I enjoyed Karrion Kross in NXT. I liked the look, the entrance, all of it. Again, he's not the best wrestler, but he's passable a lot of the time.
I mean, yeah, that's all they needed. That's all they need sometimes.
Yeah. Again, his offense again is like a lot of like throwing guys around, some kicks and submissions.
Right.
But the look of him being like Shao Kahn from Mortal Kombat
awful.
Is like no, I like it. It's what I like about it, to be honest. Like
can't do it.
But also being again a guy who will wear like an open white collar shirt and a leather jacket. So again, this is the guy that walks in the real world, but then he'll go to the nether realm and put on again like the gladiator gear when it's time to wrestle.
The nether realm, get out of here.
That's what it is in Mortal Kombat.
No, I know, but that's why it's ridiculous. How do I I'm the type of nerd who's trying to figure out if the NXT and the Mortal Kombat universes are actually connected. If you're going
to way, NXT's that's why the arena was so dark, like because Triple H wanted to be Shao Kahn with a skull helmet and the fucking all that and the hammer. Like, come on.
The only way he could figure it out is don't like the fans and Karrion Kross. Scorpion is involved in the same world as AJ Styles.
I'm trying to think of who NXT had like real get over here energy, like
not nobody.
Yeah,
the closest thing to anything is like Bray Wyatt, Firefly Funhouse.
Well, that's because it's the lemon. Like, yeah, real, like. But no, like he loses to. But again, the rematch. I think it was the first match. He had the Red X painted on him, and I think that was another final straw for Matt, where he's like, "Get this shit out of here." Finn Bálor loses, like I said, he loses the rematch and he gets called up. But again, during this whole run in NXT, like these takeover matches, again, we're bangers. Like Finn Bálor shows up and can wrestle at the end of the day. Like we've all known that, but this extra element of like him and Damian Priest, him and Timothy Thatcher, like again, these small feuds.
Right.
We're just about also like putting these guys over. And unfortunately, like Timothy Thatcher got released. Damian Priest kind of got lost in the shuffle once he got called up. It seems like they wanted to do something with him, but didn't, and then wanted to again, but didn't. But I mean, Finn Bálor was doing his best to make these guys matter in NXT.
Right. I mean, and shit, he's still working with Damian right now, which is interesting.
Yeah, and I like that combination with them as a duo. It does kind of like, you know, Damian Priest gives that vibe of like Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows mixed, but like a better wrestler than both of them combined.
Right. Yeah, he's like those two guys, but a lot better together. Yeah. No, I understand.
And in between this too is the, you know, 3 matches with Adam Cole. And I'd say like this in the a 2 sweet trilogy is what I called it, because again they were both members at a Bullet Club at one time.
Jeez, that goofy shit. So.
Hey, Chris Bay is a member of the Bullet Club. How dare you?
Chris Bay is the best part of the Bullet Club. Fight me.
What about Jay White?
I mean, hey, can Jay White rap?
Ask Chris Bay next time you talk to him. Maybe he'll have an answer.
Chris Bay never had that man featured on that one song.
He actually should have used that promo for an intro when he was like, the ultimate finessa.
He should. Yeah, he really should. That would be dope if he get. I wonder if Impact would charge him.
I mean, they don't have money to pay people. How are you going to charge me? Like,
so Finn Bálor and Adam Cole.
Yeah, and each time they faced each other one-on-one, it was for the NXT title. Again, that first match was, you know, after like a month and a half of Finn Bálor being back, Johnny Gargano returned and cost him the match. Adam Cole retained. The second time, the title was still vacated after the Fatal 4-Way Iron Man match that the two competed in with Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. Remember that? When they're like, we're going to do a Fatal 4-Way Iron Man match on NXT Super Tuesday?
Oh, yeah, the Super Tuesday.
Because hockey took over on Wednesday night.
The Super Tuesday,
And the match ended with Finn Bálor getting the second fall, but then Adam Cole hits him with the last shot. And as the clock winds down, 2-1, Adam Cole beats the buzzer, and it sets up a draw, a sudden death match the week after. And Finn Bálor hits the 1916 off the top rope, and wins the vacant NXT title. And then the third match is something I wish they would have extended. And this was the story that they were doing, where like Kyle O'Reilly was kind of trying to recruit Finn Bálor to join Undisputed Era, because Bobby Fish was injured again. Shocker. But there was a moment where it was Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly, and Finn Bálor side by side, and this was when they were still kind of feuding with Pete Dunne, Oney Lorcan, and Danny Burch. And it was like, if Finn Bálor joins like the Undisputed Era, like do they become like the Undisputed Club?
Yeah, some weird 4 Horsemen type shit going on.
That is like what a real 4 Horsemen's supposed to be like, for like the elite. Again, like Bobby Fish is like, you know, a 10th man, like, you know, Popeye Jones on the roster, like.
Who's Kyle O'Reilly? Who's Kyle O'Reilly in the Force? Is he supposed to be Arn?
Arn, definitely Arn. But the thing is, like, who's Rick? Is it, if Finn Bálor joins, is it Adam Cole or is it Finn Bálor?
Ain't no Rick. It's 2 Arns.
You saying they're Arns?
It's 2 Arns. It's 1 Tully, and then there's like a.
Are you saying Roderick Strong's the Tully?
Roderick Strong is the Tully. Yeah, I don't know who Barry Windham is. Who's the tallest one?
They're all the same height. That's why
they're in the next. So it's 3 Arns and a Tully.
Yeah.
No Rick, no Sid.
You can have my spot.
That's crazy.
What? 3 Arns and a Tully?
Yeah, they the 4 Horsemen, but ain't no Rick. It's 3 Arns.
No, they do. Adam Cole's the Rick. We ain't doing that. Adam Cole's Rick. I told you what happened when I took Big Mike to see NXT live, and I'm like, these guys, the Undisputed Era are the 4 Horsemen of my generation. He's like, don't you ever say that to me ever again.
There's no way. I understand.
And I'm like, I know, because they're actually better than the 4 Horsemen. And then actually, like, oh, well, I guess you're walking home. Like,
well, all right. If there's probably a debate if you want to talk about pro wrestling. I will say the members of the 4 Horsemen and the members of the Undisputed Era, it's not the same pro wrestling. What you would be better off having a debate with FTR when you're talking about pro wrestling actual style. But so you have
that's different when you set out because you actually want to be Arn Anderson. That's like.
But what I'm saying is like the style of wrestling.
Because the whole thing about the Undisputed Era is they were wearing their t-shirts. Either the sleeves are rolled up or cut off, black jeans, and like basic Nike trainers. They weren't trying to be like the suits and all. They were all
Arn. That's Arn Anderson. Arn Anderson came out.
No. Arn Anderson came out in the trunks. What do you mean, like?
No, that's what I'm saying. Rick would always be dressed to the nines. Tully was always dressed well. Arn would always have the damn shades on. He may not even have a tie on. His taco meat may be showing. Ole was the bum. Ole was like, Ole might as well have been like fixing the car. But that's what confused me because realistically, they all dressed like Barry Windham then. T-shirt and cowboy boots.
No.
Oh, they what were they rocking? They were rocking.
No, I said basic Nike trainer. Like Adam Cole would be the one that wore Jordans, if anything, but they all were like again like the Nike Flex Trainer 6s. Like
when did Adam Cole become a sneak? He's always been a sneak.
If anything, Kyle O'Reilly wore Chuck Taylors because there's the whole thing about when he became like cool Kyle. He was like everyone saying like he's fake Orange Cassidy. It's like
Cool Kyle and Orange Cassidy's sneakers suck too.
He wears I don't know mixed wrestling boots. He doesn't wear sneakers. He either wears
he don't wear
like in public appearances. He wears all white Reeboks. That's what he wears.
What?
Like him on the MLB Network he was wearing white Reeboks, but his wrestling shoes are actually wrestling shoes. Like
what's my Orange Cassidy Reebok? I just want to see what type of Reeboks he got on.
But no, we were robbed of this potential version of like. I guess it almost would have been like a Wolfpack version of Undisputed Era if Finn Bálor would have joined. It would have been this altered form, like because even though it's the upgrade because they got rid of Bobby Fish, the dead weight, like
they're more.
That's like when the Warriors dumped Harrison Barnes, or like Kevin Durant. Oh my God! Like yes, like
you said. I think Wolfpack is a much better description than Four Horsemen. I think NWO.
Because they're all better wrestlers than Kevin Nash ever was. So come on.
I'm not talking about. That's what I'm saying because I can't even compare the style.
The whole point of them, like because Kevin Nash and it's like listen to hip hop,
As a group, in terms of dominance, popularity,
but they dominated like the Four Horsemen. They held all the titles at one point, like the Four Horsemen did.
Yeah, but you're not going to act like NWO wasn't done. You're not going to act like the Wolfpack. They
didn't held all the titles like that. The Wolfpack didn't. And at some point, the NWO was kind of like that, but not the Wolfpack.
When's the last time you watched a Nitro from like the hot NWO
era? Yeah, it's been a while. However, in Dallas, we watched Nitro from 2000, and
no, you don't want to. I'm talking like
bad shows.
Year one.
I think that's what actually inspired Fam to do Black Watch was us watching.
It wasn't that long after
2000.
Oh, then
like, I got a great idea. Like we should watch bad wrestling, but not that Black Watch is bad wrestling. But he's like,
no, but it's a plan or idea that makes a lot of sense. But I think if you go to like 96 or 97 after post the formation of NWO, watch a Nitro, but listen to the commentary, especially if something just happened. Sure, Eddie Guerrero and Dean Malenko may be putting on a banger, but all they're talking about is, well, what's going to happen with the NWO? Like the impact, even if they were always vying for the one main title, but although sometimes they did have the tag titles, but their impact is people had the shirts. You know what I mean? The way you talk about Undisputed Era, that fandom feels more like people fuck with the Horsemen because the Horsemen were cool. Like they wrestled the best, they looked the best, and they talked the best shit. You weren't supposed to like them. You feel me?
I mean, if anything, the actually Undisputed Era is more like the Radicals, to be honest. That was always what I compared them to.
The Radicals was
Malenko,
Eddie and Malenko,
Eddie, Saturn, and Redacted Wolverine.
And Ben Weezy.
That's their actual comparison, except at least, I mean, because he became...
None of them are Chris Benoit.
Huh?
None of them are Chris Benoit.
No, Kyle O'Reilly probably would have been Chris Benoit. Not just because the Canadian thing, but like the intensity of their style. Yeah. Roderick Strong is definitely Dean Malenko.
Who's Bobby Fish?
Bobby Fish is definitely Perry Sauer, and again, like we could replace you and it wouldn't matter. And Eddie Guerrero is Adam Cole because Eddie Guerrero became such a great talker and performer later on.
While I understand what you're saying, anytime you mention Adam Cole and like his leader comparison, I'm like, ugh. Because Adam Cole is not Eddie Guerrero. He damn sure ain't Ric Flair. He could. Who was the leader of the pack in the Wolf Pack? Was that Kevin Nash?
Yeah.
He's better than Kevin Nash.
Adam Cole? Yeah, of course. Everyone's better than Kevin Nash. But yeah, again, that was the whole thing of that feud because because Finn Bálor came back, I think, at the end of November, maybe started December, because they had the War Games match against Undisputed Era had against Pat McAfee's team. Then Pat McAfee and his crew tried to attack Finn Bálor, and the Undisputed Era saved Finn Bálor. And again, Kyle O'Reilly and Finn Bálor still kind of had tension because Finn Bálor wanted to get revenge for his jaw.
My bad.
But then they had the match on New Year's Evil, and then after they kind of there's a moment where they like link up, and it seems like Finn Bálor is going to join the Undisputed Era, and that's when Adam Cole super kicks Finn Bálor, then he super kicks Kyle O'Reilly. Then it's like, what's going on in the Undisputed Era would then break up. Adam Cole wants the NXT title, and him and Finn Bálor have that third and final match on NXT TV. And that ends like their trilogy of great matches. But what we're forgetting that in 2020, like Finn Bálor wins NXT overall competitive year like he did when he was there in 2015, and it was a real like if you have that image of him and the plaque, like this is like a real 5 years later. How am I the man? Still like energy that he has again. Like he was the guy then, and he came back to be the guy a second time.
Look at Hunter.
And that's
Hunter looked like Santa Claus
on the juice, yeah.
On that juice. Nah,
but again, and just like how I said when he arrived in late 2014 and dominated all of 2015, like he ran it back again with just like this, with the volume turned all the way up.
Right.
You know, the aggressiveness turned all the way up. This like he was kind of talking a little bit like Conor McGregor again, like the Griselda influence, this vibe of like I'm the top guy for a reason.
Where
he had that one promo where like everyone's wondering who's going to get that Finn rub of like how they say in the business, like, you know, when you wrestle with someone, so that means you're approved. Again, right. Damian Priest, Timothy Thatcher, Ilya Dragunov, like at that, he was becoming that guy. He was kind of blending again, like we said with Terry Funk and Shane Douglas, like that real and what's fake. He was just using real terms to be again the real rock and roll of the Prince. You know, him being the founding member of Bullet Club in a way with Carl Anderson. Like he brought that energy he had in 2014 to NXT this time around.
Right.
And it's what kind of separated him from everyone else. Because again, he was my wrestler, even though I gave Roman Reigns his props, because it was finally what we had wanted in him being the tribal chief. And in a way, the tribal chief is like his version of the Prince. Like, here's the guy I actually am and should have been the whole time. Like Finn Bálor as the Prince on Raw when he showed up probably would have been a lot better than the guy who can transform into a demon when he has the odds stacked against him. Even though I like the demon just as much, but the Prince is again a better character. It's again much like how Orange Cassidy is this comedy character, but he can go when he wants to. The Prince being this real like action hero or like the hitman that you call to get stuff done.
Right.
The tribal chief was that for Roman Reigns. Finally, after years of him being like, we don't want to root for you as Superman. Like, we know you can just beat everyone's ass and do it. Like, yeah. What do you think of that? Like, because again, you've never liked the demon, but so you think if he had come back or they had booked him as the Prince again, because they rushed him into that feud with Roman Reigns right away. Even though, because again, it made sense too.
They needed him.
Yeah. But if they had built him over 4 months again, like doing stuff he was doing next year, like he beats a small time guy, he beats a mid card guy, then he beats another top guy, then he finally challenges Roman Reigns. Like, do you think that still would have helped him instead of like going back to the Finn Bálor he was previously, where he loses to Austin Theory for 5 straight weeks?
No, I mean, I think anytime you've got somebody that you want vying for the title, I think I never like, oh no, they've been losing for 6 months, but now they just snapped. He's got this win streak. Like, it's it doesn't, like, you can do that because it's pro wrestling, and
or the turn to the dark side, like Judgment Day. Like I've had enough.
But
I'm tired of losing. Like
when I was watching, when I first, and this is the thing that I think people, they may be getting back to it, but they don't understand about that era back in the day. Regardless of what you remember or think of, especially about like the late 80s WWF stuff, those were year-long storylines.
Yeah.
It was a year for the mega powers to break up.
That's what I'm saying. Like him joining Undisputed Era, like they microwaved it instead of like actually cooking it. They could have actually done something with that, but there was the whole Adam Cole's contract was kind of, they knew it was about to expire, but I bet they thought they were going to re-sign him. Same thing with Kyle O'Reilly, and then they also knew like at some point Finn Bálor is going to get called up again because Roman Reigns is going to need people to beat, and this is an obvious example right here. And in a positive way, again, like a win over the new version of Finn Bálor in Vince McMahon's eyes, even though he'll still see the same Finn Bálor because he views like you won in NXT. What's that do for me?
Exactly. Like, he looks at NXT like it's AEW. Like, what the hell are we talking? But I think
you're the prince. The prince of what? Like
he can't. The system isn't set up for him in that. That's why I think it was bad when we were talking about earlier when Finn when word was announced that he was going to NXT. That was my other thought was good. I don't want to say he's drowning on the main roster, but he's too good to be a 1 month pay-per-view storyline. You know what I'm saying?
He was drowning at that after he returned from the injury.
Right.
They waited too long to put him back in the title picture.
Exactly.
And they stuck him with me in the storylines. And when he finally was like, you know what, I never got my rematch. It was like a one-night match with Roman Reigns. And again, they put on a banger because they had really good chemistry, and they never ran back. They never ran that as a feud.
Yeah, because he got injured.
Well, they were both faces. Is what I'm saying. No, when Roman Reigns was champ,
right.
Finn Balor was finally pointing out, and then they gave Finn Balor Brock Lesnar match because again, Brock Lesnar loves to have matches with the small guys that he can throw around and sell for.
He beat that ass too.
Again, that was another chance of like him at for the world title. And then he had that feud with Lashley where he lost, then he won, then he lost, then he won. Again, the Demon could power bomb Bobby Lashley, but Finn Balor couldn't.
Shit didn't make no sense. That shit didn't make no sense.
But
that demon shit works when you have a story. You know what I'm saying? But it's like it's like it's like what a cage match used to be. When you've exhausted everything else in the feud, you want to get the shit done and over with. You throw the two motherfuckers in the cage, and whoever wins, and then they're on to the next that story.
I think he shows up after to SmackDown, and I think he beats Sami Zayn, and then I think he's on to Roman Reigns. And then Roman Reigns beats him in a straight up match on SmackDown. Like he chokes him out, and it's like, oh, like Finn Balor didn't tap, he just got choked out, and then Finn Balor's like, you might have beaten Finn Balor, but can you beat the Demon? And then Extreme Rules, they have that match with the shitty ending in which the top rope collapses.
The top rope.
But prior to that, he was on the floor convulsing.
That was Jesus.
As the red light went on. But prior to that, Roman Reigns had to put on the mask, which is still one of the stupidest moments in wrestling.
That's COVID. I get it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, then don't fight in the crowd.
Right.
If he has to put on a mask, given this guy's health, like, let's protect this guy and not have him go in the crowd.
Wait, that was Extreme Rules last year?
Yeah.
Wow. Damn, that was also in September. Anyway, I'm sorry.
And then since then, he went back to the Finn Balor that he was in 2017, 2018, and 2019 prior to the NXT.
That's really him, yo?
You always say this about like...
That's him? This is the same... This? And
you want me to put some paint on my face and be like, oh my God, is that drip or is that
because look,
Danhausen? Like,
all right, so... Does he shave his beard down before he paints?
No, he paints his beard.
That looks like a painted beard. What's that face that he made? I don't know if that's the same guy.
Oh my God! Don't do the math. Bray Wyatt and the Fiend are the same guy. Dudes. Oh my God!
Or is that an old? And why has he got dreadlocks?
You always ask this. You and the that's a Black Wrestling Podcast Club at some point. Like you and the demon. Why do we allow this? This
but the first
time you were like, this racist, like right.
The first time I saw the demon, because again I wasn't paying attention to a lot of this stuff. It kind of reminded me the first time I saw Big Man Vader. First time I saw the demon was he wrestling?
You heard his name was Leon White. If he would have just worn the full black suit that he debuted in UME, where he legit wore the full body singlet and the black mask, if you just heard his name was Leon White, like you couldn't see any white in like his eyes or the method, would you have thought he was a black man?
Probably. Yeah, it was a big. That was a big.
He's from Compton.
Yeah.
And then he unmasked, and it's just like,
and then it's just a white dude.
The henchman in a mobster movie. Like
it's a white guy with the Hawk haircut. No, but
which is still like, what you think? Hey Hawk, you got a barber that I can
shave you down the middle, bro.
Except imagine Vader with the "cuh" type of accent, like, hey,
hey, cuh, how y'all do your hair, cuh? No, we just shave down the middle, bro.
Yeah.
No, but
really good when animals like see he had the missing hair. I had the hair where he didn't, and he had the hair where I didn't. That was like why it was. Which I'm still like, that doesn't make any.
If you put them both together, it'd be a full.
Because you're not doing like the.
All right, yeah, it doesn't make.
You're not being like Hawk, animal warrior. Like you're not going to form.
He's like, watch. How are you going to do your hair? I'm going to cut it here and here. He's like, all right, I'll cut the other parts, and then that was it. No, but the first time I saw the demon,
the Sting and the Holden Warrior, at least were like, we're just gonna put on a face paint and look like how we would normally look.
Yeah, you know how? What's your gimmick?
I still want to get chicks. I don't know about you guys.
Are you gonna cut your hair? No. You gonna dye? No. I'm just putting face paint on. All right, me too. I'll be Blade. I'll be Rock or whatever. But no, you remember that? It was Blade and something.
Blade Runner Rock and Blade Runner.
Rocco Rock and Johnny something. Hold up. God.
Flash, right? Wasn't Blade Runner Flash and Blade Runner Rock?
Blade Runners Wiki Pro Wrestling.
But no, the demon thing, like I said, because that's in the overall, that's in the round table debate about Finn. That's what we'll do it there. But yes, I know what you mean. Like it looks bad, to be honest.
What?
Especially
Rock and Flash.
See, I was right, yeah.
But at one point, Rock was also Justice because they were Blade Runner Rock, and actually, it was Blade Runner Rock and Blade Runner Sting, and then they became the Freedom Fighters, and it was Freedom Fighter Justice and Freedom Fighter Flash.
Oh my god,
that's how it's listed in
January
Wikipedia.
6th team is that?
Wow, they did not use the Blade Runner's name, but they reunited for a match on Nitro, October 12th, 1998. I guess that would have been going into Halloween Havoc of that year. Was that the Halloween Havoc? Was that the year that the because that was a terrible Halloween Havoc 1998.
Oh, with Hogan and Warrior, yeah. With the Fireball, that was 98.
Yeah, where the
pay-per-view went off time, yeah.
Yeah, the build-up was Hogan looking in the mirror and not seeing Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
Anyway,
even though the camera, there's a whole I mean, Alvarez wrote a whole book about that in a way.
Terrible. Anyway,
but no, I mean, we'll get to that when we do the part 2 of this. But Finn Bálor didn't show up with the demon at all during this run as the Prince, which again suited him better to then get called up and be like, again, I'm a real character now. I'm this.
He couldn't be the demon.
Guy. Yeah. But then Vince McMahon again is just like, no, you're not. You're the demon. Like,
well, again, when I first heard of Finn, it was that Beast of the East show, where Brock Lesnar beat up Kofi Kingston in Japan. That was the first time I saw a demon match, and I was like, this is cool. But again, it feels like a blow off. But
it was, yeah.
When I was like, they're gonna fucking keep using this, and it was like every time it got to like that rubber match,
there's
the demon.
The first podcast he did with Jericho, because he did 2. Jericho asked him about the demon, like, because again, great podcast interview with Chris Jericho. It's like, so tell me about this, because I didn't do any research.
Right. Hey, so that demon, what is it?
Yeah, and then he's like, so paint, like, is that real paint? Like, how does that affect your body? Yeah, fucking.
Is that like the Road Warriors? Yeah.
He had said, like, you don't worry that at some point you might have to do this full time. And he's like, no, it's really just supposed to be for special events and, a special feud, or, I couldn't do this like on the house show circuit live every Monday. It's too long of a process. And he had said like Hakushi had like stickers. That's how he did all the lettering and symbols on, like they were just stickers that like got wet and like
stayed on the match.
Yeah. Because Jericho was like, so there's not like a streamlined process of you to paint your whole body to do that like every day, and like,
and he said
you're in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and then he's like, no, it's a whole like it's the half of the day prior to the match, and then
he does it, or somebody paints him.
No, someone paints him. And like the behind the scenes of like any like takeover doc they've done about him, they show like someone airbrushing him, like like how they would a car, like. It's weird, like paint on your body. I'd be like, is this gonna like burn me? And they like that whole.
Did you see? I was like, I don't know. Is it still Fashion Week? Bella Hadid. It was they spray painted a like.
Oh, I saw
dress on her
about that briefly.
She was standing there, and they had already spray painted her chest, but you see the process of them like spraying her. They spray her torso, like her upper torso, and
that's what they had to do from Rebecca Romaine. For Mystique, they basically painted her body for real.
No, but what happened was they painted it on, and then like she like went backstage, and some woman like it became a dress. Like I don't know what they did, but
like they built around it.
It's essentially like they did a 3D dress, like they printed a 3D dress on her. But it was because she walked later, and it was like actual fabric and shit. It's weird.
Yeah,
I assume that's how they do the demon. They spray the dreadlocks on him.
Okay.
They spray the head.
So I mean, it's amazing how it came like full circle in a way where like he built himself up as like this great character in a way, only for it to get bastardized once Vince McMahon get your hands on you.
Did they ever explain that?
Explain what?
Like why the top rope broke?
No, remember that's the whole thing. Fam said it was God that did it. Remember, it's a tribal chief on high.
Hold up.
He said, "You will not jump from that top rope. No, you won't." Let me see if I still. He's like, "No, you won't."
Look at this shit.
No demon. I think he was like, "No demon shall win today." Like on a Sunday, no. I think that was. I actually think that was the same night as a 49er game as well. So I was already, or like the Niner game had just ended. So then Extreme Rules. So I had back-to-back disappointments.
You were already seeing red.
Life sucks. Like, it was.
No, it was funny because this happened, and we were like, "What the fuck?" Because everything went red. I guess they did it to gimmick the shit, but. Then there's this shot of Roman. This is when I thought Roman was like, "Yeah, Jesus did it. Jesus just helped me save this." Like he's looking up at the sky. He ain't looking at nothing else but the sky. Devil, demon, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no, I don't have that video anymore. That was a great.
Demon,
I probably have it in my bookmarks on for that. Let me see if I can. Travel chief on high, but that and that's literally what kicks him back to reality on the main roster. Again, that's for part 2 and all that. But
no, what really kicked him back into reality? It wasn't this.
It was that.
It wasn't that. It was this.
Okay, you know what?
He hit. Oh shit! I'm a wrestler. I'm not a damn circus performer. Let me get to these matches. Sorry. I apologize. What you want me to do? You sent me this. Look at his face. His bookends. He's not a hoe.
He wasn't. Him on the main roster is. Him in NXT, he's not. Again, him in NXT, he's the guy. But again, what's a prince to a tribal chief? Right?
A win.
That's why I'm saying it's the, what's a king to a god? What's a god to a non-believer? Like that's what like, you can be the prince of NXT. That's all right. But I'm the tribal chief here.
Because I think we're winding down, right?
Yeah.
All right. So before we get out of here, what? Then I guess this is probably prefacing the next episode of this Finn Bálor conversation. Bálor, right?
It's not the next episode. It'll happen at some point later on.
Whatever. Yeah. Finn. off the top rope like Finn Bálor Part 2. Bálor, right? Not Baylor.
Bálor.
Cal. Yeah, that makes sense. Is Finn?
Hang on. Here we go.
Hold up. What you about to do, Trey?
On Sunday evening, brothers and sisters, Lord came down. Oh, the tribal chief on high. He came out. He said, "You will not jump off that top rope. No, you won't." He said, "I will not have any demons this Sunday evening winning. There is no victory here." Yes, the tribal chief. Preach. Reign victorious.
That's good.
Yeah, that's probably our end of the year episode. Is me somehow putting together all of the videos I made for Twitter for like a director's.
Well, you know what it is.
Track.
But you know what
that
it
way
is.
I could talk over the highlight ones, but also like us just watch classic clips that I've cut together.
I was gonna say something crazy on mic, but I'm not gonna say it on mic. I'll say it when we turn this off. This is not even for Patreon, just because it's actual like business. But I got a question before we get out of here. Finn right now is part of Judgment Day. Is he the leader?
I actually like the idea of Rhea Ripley being the leader. Damn. I think just the optics of that, and also I think she is probably the woman who will defeat Bianca Belair for the title. I think this.
You're right.
I don't think Bayley will.
I don't think so either.
Or I think Bayley will, and then Bianca will get it back, and then Rhea can beat her. But I think they're buying their time, and Finn is. It's also a thing too where like they're all equals in that way. Like one night Damian Priest kind of leads, one night Finn Balor kind of leads, but Dominic will never lead.
Dominic,
and he's the Bobby Fish. Like sit down.
I asked because we started this conversation talking about why Finn went to NXT, and it's interesting to see 2 years later he's on the main roster with essentially a number of NXT, and he I mean he may not be the leader, but he's definitely the OG.
Well, this is again his version of what if his Undisputed Era looked like. It's him and Damian Priest, and they add a woman in Rhea Ripley. They add someone who clearly needs guidance in Dominic Mysterio.
Rhea Ripley is Adam Cole?
Yeah.
Damn. That means Finn Balor is Kyle O'Reilly.
Definitely, yeah.
Wow.
And Damian Priest is Roderick Strong, and Bobby Fish is Dominic Mysterio, yeah. I mean, you could say that also, like, Adam Cole, Finn Balor would be Adam Cole and, like, the Bullet Club connection and all that, but I think Rhea Ripley being the leader is probably the move going forward once she gets cleared. Because I think it's still sense. Like who knows what's going on with that, but I think they're just also biding their time with the Bianca Belair feuding with Bayley. Like, let's not just have Rhea Ripley beat up.
They've got time.
Nikki Ash 7 times. Like, let's just have her be a character and then a wrestler.
It's such a sidebar, but like Bayley and Bianca were cooking years ago, literally years ago, before Bayley got
last year.
It feels like it was 5 years ago. It's been so long. They have unfinished.
That's what this feels like in a way, the Prince thing. But like he's kind of come back to that with Judgment Day and this like the long tights. He's wrestling in the black Jordans that he would wear when he would come out and talk on the mic.
Right.
Again, he's got the purple X instead of the red X. Like he's trying to capture that vibe. I mean, the bandanas.
I think the thing is because WWE they've got a lot of good potential. Rhea Ripley is probably not ready to be the champion right now.
Yeah.
But having her essentially lead this group is going to put her, because she's learning a lot about being a heel, having that presence, all of that. She's doing very good work right now. Again, she's barely wrestling. I don't remember the last time I saw Rhea Ripley wrestle.
It was June or July before she got injured, because again, it was supposed to be her and Bianca, then she got injured. So in the summer.
She had to take the summer off.
Yeah.
And she still feels like, if you told me she was wrestling Bianca tomorrow, I'd be like, oh shit.
But again, let's say she gets cleared for Survivor Series and like dominates in the women's match, and it's clearly set up like how Bianca did last year, where Bianca like eliminated, I think, either all 5 or 4 of the 5 women, and she does the same thing this year. It's like again, and then she could probably win the Rumble. And then because she was close the last 2 years, she was obviously close in the Bianca one because people thought Bianca's foot actually hit. It's like nah, it didn't hit. Like,
and people are also ready. At the time, they were ready for Rhea to be the person. I think, and I'm not saying it's a race thing, but I think if people weren't obviously voting for Bianca, it was because they were ready for Rhea to take that spot. But it's interesting to see how Finn fits into all of this. Not only did I really like this conversation we had, but I'm kind of excited for a future part 2 about
do you want to go back and watch the NXT stuff?
If you all right, so there's
I only have a playlist of the promos. When I was doing this article, I wrote, I put these images together. So these images that I had put on the screen are like a year old, but I had made like a playlist of like him on the mic and like building up the matches and the fallout and like all that. It didn't have any of the actual matches involved because it's a lot harder to get matches.
Well, how about this, Trip? We've not
watch the takeover ones, use cage match.
Wait. We've not, like, it's been a minute since we've done playlists on Black Wrestling. I've been working on one, but videos disappear. Do you think if you could send me a list and maybe send me that playlist and maybe I'll see if they've uploaded some of those matches at this point, and maybe we can kind of make like a Finn Bálor, like a Finn Bálor, I'm sorry.
You said it right the first time.
Oh, I was right. That's Bálor.
You said Bálor.
Cow Bow. I got that's what Cow Bow. That's how I gotta remember. Anyway, no, but for real, because it's not Black Wrestling is Black Wrestling, but it's not just Black wrestlers. It's really the wrestling.
That's why white noise exists too. Like,
it's a thing, but people
want to talk about some white wrestlers.
That's
why I'm like, you know what? We gotta get away from movies. We gotta start talking about these crackers again. Like, we gotta start. There's some more. Cassidy, wait till we get to the Kyle O'Reilly episode. We just got a small, 10 minutes about that today. There's a whole episode to do.
There's enough to do a Kyle O'Reilly episode.
Just an episode, yeah.
He's only held tag titles.
I told you he was ROH and PWG world champ.
He was ROH world champion.
The whole thing would, to be honest, that would actually just be a short brief episode. I do have some more. But that's something I probably would want to do in a way. But no, we have like again the CM Punk and AEW episode on the horizon.
That's gonna be. We may need some heads on that one too.
And Undisputed. Well, I told you the plan is to get.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
Well, I had said it last week. Yeah.
Don't say it. If they didn't see it last week, you got to go watch the episode.
To coincide with the video I made for War Games, and when that pay-per-view is happening, that video will drop.
Yeah,
that's when we'll probably do Undisputed Era being the gods of war for the modern day War Games, which is what they were.
You said modern day, okay? I did.
Yeah, and of all time as well. I mean, I know you worked on the list at theringer.com.
And of all time sounds crazy.
All time.
When you're talking about
4 straight years, they were in it. 2-2.
The 4 Horsemen, they were touring the war. They did the War Games pay-per-view, but they were also doing War Games that summer.
Because that's how you had to make money. Like,
well, but the funny thing is, actually, as this
they were running back them same spots in those. They were doing this for Pete. Like, come on.
This is a little day in my life. This is how amazing my life has become. So I'm editing.
Here you go.
I'm sorry. I'm editing the War Games list, and because I hadn't realized I watched back in the day, but I didn't live down south, so I didn't realize that they were taking this fucking massive 2-ring cage
that Klondike Bill created.
They were going on tour, and it was right around the time where they stopped doing house shows. And so I hit up Shoemaker and I'm like, did them touring War Games kill their business? He's like, kind of. Like, I mean,
they tried to build like concerts around it too, and all that, like make it like a fair in a way. Like,
it's crazy because we live in such like pro wrestling is one of those things where it's like you want to build to doing some wild shit, but you can't do the wild shit all the time. You can't be the demon all the time. You know what I'm saying?
No, exactly. No, like that's why he was like that's why Vince McMahon's like I don't see nothing special. Like he was Daniel Bryan until they made Daniel Bryan scream yes, and then they made Daniel Bryan scream no. Like Finn Bálor was the Daniel Bryan prior to that. Were like you can wrestle. Like what does that do for me? I'm in the entertainment business.
What else you got? No, but
it's I'm in the entertainment business. Like you know,
like that. But Vince would never take Elimination Chamber and
tour it. No,
that's the that you're devaluing, but devaluing what the spectacle is.
Instead, you do the opposite where you try to make it fit when I mean, you again like how it was initially built. Like Elimination Chamber is supposed to be a thing where I mean, Hell in a Cell is like again, this has to be a blood feud. You can't just have a pay per view called Hell in a Cell and be like, these are the people going to face each other in Hell in a Cell because it's that pay per view on the docket. Like what they're doing with Extreme Rules this year is amazing in that old school way of like how One Night Stand and Extreme Rules started, where like every match almost was a stipulation match, and they kind of got away from that the last couple of years, where there's only like kind of 3 to 4. Some of the stipulations have worked and some didn't. That's just kind of BRP Black Wrestling proper, as fam called it, talk right now. But like assigning a strap match for Drew McIntyre and Karrion Kross, like, like
I mean, but I still don't know what a fight. What's a fight pit match?
That's basically like the Lions Den match. That's like there's going to be a cage. It's a short cage match, basically.
A variation of a cage match where the ring is surrounded by a cage rather than
Matt Riddle and Timothy Thatcher, and it was Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa the second time.
There's a catwalk surround. What?
Yeah, you can get in and wrestle on the top. Yeah, it's basically a scaffold match and a cage match combined.
Is this hold up? I'm sorry. We gotta get out of here. Drip, let the people know where they could find you.
You can find me on Twitter at Davis, aka Drip, Instagram, Davis DC, Banks vs. Davis on YouTube, Banks vs. Davis Patreon, Black Wrestling every single Thursday night, 8:35 on YouTube, Black Wrestling on Twitter. That's where you'll see some of the videos I post for us. And we got one coming up potentially with some dude that spits mist and two dudes that wear face paints. We talked about one of them earlier. So I
got to respond back to your message. I'm sorry. I just remembered that I saw it.
We did Primetime Helix Skipper. We did again a War Games one that's coming soon.
Be ready.
Again, did all the BRP ones again. So
be ready. No, thank you. White Noise. It was a great episode. My name is Cal, at Cal on Twitter, at Black Wrestling on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. BlackWrestling.com is a website. I'm trying to update it so you guys can see all the wild shit we've been doing since WrestleMania. I'll just say that. YouTube.com/Black Wrestling every Thursday, 8:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are going live. 5 mics, but you already know that. Super Chat is always open as well. If you're watching this before it hits YouTube, is because you're a sub on your patron.
Whoa.
I'm sorry. You do subscribe, but I mean, you're a patron on our Patreon. Shouts out to our.
I was like, you're a sub. I'm a dom.
No, you're wilding. I was saying subscriber. I'm not going that crazy, but now salutes to y'all. Your Patreon dollars are what is making episodes like this drop on Patreon first.
Wow. When you think about it that way, it's like you are paying for my nonsense. Yeah.
What I'm saying is, if you rock with Black Wrestling and you want some extra content, some content you're not going to be able to see anybody anywhere else, you have to go to Patreon. Black Watch, White Noise, Black Wrestling Podcast Club.
It's back, and I'll be on there in a matter of
it'll
2
be
weeks
soon.
For Halloween.
Very soon.
I mean, it is the official start of spooky season now.
We got a couple heaters. We dropped it. The burlap sack dropped on International Podcast Day. If you saw it, you saw it. If you didn't, I can send you the link. You gotta just DM me.
With my other father, Pops Semperivi.
Did you see it, Drip?
I didn't see it. I saw it was on Big. I didn't watch it.
Because I hit it. Again,
I'm too busy watching Semp have to deal with Brian Alvarez, and I'm like, oh my god, is this what I do with Cal and Banks? Like, am I Brian Alvarez? Like.
You're like Brian Alvarez, but not like right now.
That's what I mean. Like, so I'm
You're,
Chico. Like,
on that note, peace everybody.
He said, take Mike here.
I'm Chico.
What if I killed Mike? And then somebody's like, his reactions.
Like, no, Mike's great. Again, Mike's. If you're on the Patreon, you can see the burlap.
I guess Superbini was the first ever guest from the first ever episode of White Noise. Jay White Boys.
That's crazy.
And we could again imagine if Jay White showed up February 2021. Him, the Switchblade versus the Prince, Finn Bálor, NXT title on the line.
This man dreaming now. All right,
that would have been the first ever Drip Miracle Whip Classic. As I said, when Adam Cole and Jay White were potentially going to feud, but they made it a fatal 4-way instead. But
Drip, I love you, but you did not say the Drip.
I said that months ago.
I know you said it months ago, but you said
like you had the Cal Chaos Classic when it was Omos versus Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania. Like,
yeah, I know, and I'm glad I didn't bring it back because if I made Danielson and Jericho a Chaos Classic, I would have cried.
That was I'm gonna stomp you on your fucking head match of the week. Like
the Drip Miracle. All right, y'all, we're out. White Noise. Catch y'all next week. Peace.